My husband lost his job, I supported us. Turns out he used my money for his affair. I exposed them at dinner, served him divorce papers, and sent the footage to his whole family. So, my husband Eric lost his job about 8 months ago, and it's been rough. Like, really rough. I've been carrying everything financially while he supposedly looks for work, and I say supposedly because now I'm wondering what the hell he's actually been doing with his time. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. I work in marketing for a tech company and make decent money. Not amazing, but enough to keep us afloat while he figures his out. I've been patient because I know losing a job messes with your head and your confidence and all that, but 8 months is a long time. I started getting frustrated because every day I'd come home from work and ask how the job search went, and he'd give me these vague answers about applications and networking and following up on leads that never seemed to go anywhere. 3 weeks ago, he comes to me all excited, talking about this guy's trip that his college buddies are planning to Vegas and how it would be good for him to get away and clear his head. Maybe make some connections, because apparently one of his friends works in recruiting now and could help him out. I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is what he needs. A change of scenery and some motivation from his friends, because honestly, he's been moping around the house for months, and it's been driving me insane. He says it's going to cost about $1,500 for the flight and hotel and food. And I'm mentally calculating our budget, thinking we can swing it if it means he comes back motivated to actually find a job. So, I transfer the money to his account and tell him to have fun and maybe come back with some job prospects. He gets all grateful and kisses me and promises he's going to turn things around. I'm helping him pack because I always help him pack for trips. It's just something I do. I'm folding his clothes and I find this really expensive suit in his suitcase, like a Hugo Boss suit that I've never seen before. I know for a fact we haven't bought any new suits recently because we've been tight on money, and this thing probably costs $600 at least. I ask him about it, and he gets all weird and says it's an old suit he forgot he had and found in the back of the closet. But I know every piece of clothing this man owns, and I've never seen this suit before in my life. When I point that out, he gets defensive and says, maybe I just don't pay attention to his clothes, and why am I giving him the third degree about a suit? That should have been my first red flag, but I let it go because I didn't want to start a fight before his trip. Now I'm kicking myself for not trusting my gut because my gut was screaming that something was wrong. But I talk myself out of it. The morning he leaves, I give him a kiss goodbye and tell him to text me when he lands and have fun with the guys. He promises to check in and not to worry about him. And I'm thinking maybe this trip will be good for both of us because I could use a few days to myself too. Then weird things start happening, and I can't shake this feeling that something's off. Like, the first night he's supposed to be there, he texts me at like 11 p.m. saying they're all exhausted from traveling and going to bed early. This doesn't sound like Eric and his college friends at all, because those guys party until sunrise when they get together. The second day, I try calling him around lunchtime and his phone goes straight to voicemail. When I text him asking if everything's okay, he responds hours later saying they were at a pool party and his phone was out cold. But the timestamp on his message shows he was active on WhatsApp like 20 minutes after I called, so his phone wasn't out at all. The third night, I call him around 9 p.m., and he picks up, but he sounds weird, like he's trying to get off the phone quickly. I can hear music in the background, but it's not club music or bar music. It sounds like restaurant music, like jazz or something fancy. When I ask where they are, he says they're at some sports bar watching the game, but there's no game sounds in the background, and the music doesn't match. When I point that out, he gets irritated and says I'm being paranoid and he has to go because the guys are calling him. He hangs up on me, which he never does, like ever. I'm sitting there staring at my phone thinking, what the hell just happened? That night, I can't sleep because something feels so wrong and I keep replaying all these little things that didn't add up. I remember he left his MacBook at home because he said he wanted to disconnect from emails for a few days, which seemed reasonable at the time, but now I'm wondering if there was another reason. I opened his laptop and went through his messages. At first, everything looked normal, just group chats with his friends and work stuff and random things. But then I see this conversation thread with someone saved as his wife with a heart emoji. And my blood runs cold because I'm his wife, and this isn't my number. I start reading through the messages, and I feel like I'm gonna throw up because it's all lovey-dovey stuff and talking about missing each other and can't wait to see each other. Then I see messages from like 2 weeks ago where she's asking if he booked the hotel yet, and he's saying yes and sending her confirmation screenshots. She's talking about how excited she is for their romantic getaway and how she's been shopping for lingerie. But here's the part that really makes me lose my mind. She starts talking about the other woman and how she feels bad that he has to deal with me and my nagging about money and job hunting. He's responding, saying that I don't understand him like she does and that I've become bitter and unsupportive. They're talking about me like I'm some obstacle in their relationship when I'm his actual wife who's been supporting him financially for months. I'm reading through months of messages, and apparently they met on OnlyFans, which explains where some of our money has been going. She started as his paid content creator, but then they developed feelings, and now she thinks they're going to have some fairy tale future together. He's been telling her that our marriage is basically over, and he's just waiting for the right time to leave me. The messages show that he used the money I gave him for his guy's trip to book a romantic weekend with her at some fancy resort in Vegas. She keeps calling herself his real wife and talking about how she can't wait until they don't have to sneak around anymore. I'm sitting there reading this, crying and shaking and feeling like the biggest fool in the world. But then the crying stops, and I get angry, like really angry, because this man has been living in my house and spending my money and eating my food while carrying on this whole secret relationship and making me feel crazy for asking basic questions about where he is and what he's doing. I screenshot everything and send it to myself. Then I do something that I probably shouldn't have done, but I don't care. I go in to find my iPhone on his Apple ID because we share the same one for family sharing, and I can see exactly where his phone is. He's not at the hotel he told me he was staying at with his college friends. He's at the Bellagio in a suite that costs more per night than I make in a week. I'm looking at his location, thinking about how he used my money to take another woman on a romantic vacation while lying to my face about job searching. And something inside me just snaps. I book a flight to Vegas for the next morning, and I don't even think about it. I just do it because I'm not going to sit at home and cry while he's living it up with his OnlyFans girlfriend on my dime. And I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of a quiet divorce where he gets to play the victim and act like our marriage just didn't work out. I want to catch them in the act, and I want to embarrass them, and I want everyone to know what kind of man he really is. Maybe that makes me petty or vindictive, but I don't care anymore because he burned down our marriage, and now I'm going to burn down his little fantasy. The flight feels like the longest 3 hours of my life. I keep checking his location and taking screenshots because I want proof of where he is and what he's doing. I can see he's moving around the hotel during the day, probably by the pool or at restaurants or whatever romantic things they're doing with my money. I land in Vegas around 4 p.m. and get an Uber to the Bellagio. I'm sitting in the lobby trying to figure out my next move, and I keep refreshing his location. Finally, around 7 p.m., I see he's at some fancy restaurant in the hotel. So I go to the hostess and tell her I'm meeting my husband for dinner and give her his name. She checks the reservation and says, "Oh yes, Mr. and Mrs. XYZ," and asks if I want to be seated. I'm thinking this man actually made a reservation using his last name, like she's already his wife. I tell the hostess, "Yes, please seat me at their table." I follow her through the restaurant, and I see them before they see me, sitting at this romantic corner table with candles and wine. She's wearing a red dress, and he's wearing that expensive suit I found in his suitcase. They're holding hands across the table and laughing and looking like the perfect couple, except he's married to me and spending my money. I walk right up to their table and say, "Hi, honey. Sorry I'm late." The look on his face is something I will never forget as long as I live. Like he's seen a ghost and he's about to crap himself at the same time. She looks confused and asks who I am. I introduce myself as his wife, and she goes pale and looks at him. He starts stuttering and trying to say it's not what it looks like, which is the stupidest thing you can say when you're literally on a romantic dinner date with another woman, while your wife is at home thinking you're with your college buddies. She starts saying she had no idea he was married, and this is all news to her. But I pull out my phone and show her the screenshots of their messages, where she literally calls herself his wife and refers to me as the other woman and talks about how she can't wait for him to leave me. She shuts up real quick. By this point, we're making a scene, and other people in the restaurant are staring. Eric is trying to get me to sit down and talk about this quietly, but I'm way past quiet talking, and I tell him he can take his quiet talking and shove it up his ass. I'm loud enough that tables around us can hear, and I don't care because I want everyone to know what's happening. I start telling him exactly what I think of him and his little girlfriend and how he's been spending my money on this romantic getaway while lying to me about job searching. He tries to interrupt me and tell me to calm down, which is the worst thing you can say to an angry woman. I tell him not to tell me to calm down when he's been cheating on me for months and using my hard-earned money to wine and dine his OnlyFans girlfriend. She tries to defend herself and says she thought we were separated, and he told her our marriage was over. I laugh and ask her if our marriage was over, then why was he living in our house and sleeping in our bed and taking my money for this trip? She doesn't have an answer for that. The restaurant manager comes over and asks if everything is okay. I tell him everything is not okay because my husband brought his mistress here for a romantic dinner using money he stole from me. Eric gets embarrassed and tries to pull me aside, but I'm not going anywhere. I slap him right across the face in front of everyone and tell him he's a lying, cheating piece of crap. Then I grab the water glass from their table and throw it right in her face and tell her she can have him because I'm done. I pull out the divorce papers that I had a lawyer friend draw up on my phone the night before, and I serve them to him, right there at the table. I tell him he has 30 days to get his crap out of my house and find somewhere else to live, because our marriage is over. But I'm not done yet, because I start recording everything on my phone, and I send the video to his mom and his sister and his best friend, and basically everyone in his family group chat. I caption it. This is what Eric has been doing with the money I've been giving him for his job search, with crying, laughing emojis. The whole restaurant is staring, and some people are filming too. Eric is trying to get me to stop, but it's too late because everyone already knows what kind of man he is. His OnlyFans girlfriend is crying, and her makeup is running, and she looks nothing like her filtered photos. I walk out of that restaurant feeling better than I've felt in months. I get an Uber back to the airport and catch the red-eye flight home. I'm exhausted but also relieved because I finally did something instead of just sitting at home wondering what was wrong with me. I don't regret doing all this. Update 1. I can't believe how much support I've gotten on my original post and how many people are telling me I'm not the a-hole because I've been second-guessing myself ever since I got back from Vegas, wondering if I went too far with the public confrontation. But after reading all your comments, I feel a lot better about what I did. And I'm glad I trusted my instincts instead of handling this quietly, like some people suggested. This man deserved to be exposed for what he really is. So anyway, Eric came home yesterday, and let me tell you, the look on his face when he saw all his stuff packed up in boxes on the front lawn was priceless. Yes, I changed the locks like some of you suggested because I'm not stupid, and I know he would have tried to come crawling back with some sob story about how sorry he is and how it didn't mean anything. He starts banging on the door and yelling for me to let him in so we can talk about this like adults. I yell back through the door that adults don't cheat on their spouses and spend their money on other women, so he can take his adult conversation and shove it. He's out there for like 2 hours trying different tactics. First, he's angry and demanding that I let him in because it's his house too, which is funny because his name isn't on the mortgage and he hasn't contributed a single dollar to our household expenses in 8 months. So I tell him to call a lawyer if he thinks he has any rights to my house. Then he switches to the begging and pleading routine, saying he made a mistake and he loves me and he'll do anything to fix this. He's crying and saying he was just confused and scared about being unemployed, and she took advantage of him when he was vulnerable. I almost feel bad for him for like half a second until I remember all those messages where he was talking about me to his OnlyFans girlfriend and calling me bitter and unsupportive. Then I remember that he spent months planning this romantic getaway with her while lying to my face every single day. He tries to tell me that it wasn't serious and it was just fantasy, and he never meant for it to go this far. But I've read their messages, and they were talking about their future together and how she couldn't wait for him to leave me so he can save his excuses for someone who didn't see the evidence. I tell him through the door that I've already filed for divorce and he needs to find somewhere else to stay because he's not welcome in my house anymore. He starts crying harder and saying he'll quit OnlyFans and block her number and go to counseling. But it's too late for all that. He's begging me to at least let him come inside to get some clothes. Normally, I would because I'm not completely heartless, but I tell him everything he needs is in those boxes on the lawn. Around 10 p.m., he finally gives up and calls his brother to come pick him up. I watch from my bedroom window as they load his stuff into the truck, and he keeps looking back at the house like he's expecting me to change my mind and run outside and forgive him. But I don't because I'm done being the understanding wife who makes excuses for his behavior and puts his needs before my own. I've finally learned that just because someone says they're sorry doesn't mean you have to accept their apology. The crazy part is, I actually feel relieved now that he's gone. Like this weight has been lifted off my shoulders and I can breathe again. I'm realizing that I've been unhappy for a lot longer than I wanted to admit. Some people in the comments asked if I felt bad about humiliating her too. And honestly, no, I don't. She knew he was married, and she participated in spending my money, and she called me the other woman, like I was the one interfering in their relationship. She made her choice when she decided to pursue a married man, and she can deal with the consequences of that choice. Maybe next time she'll think twice before getting involved with someone who's clearly lying about his situation. I'm meeting with my lawyer tomorrow to start the process of legally separating our finances. And I've already changed all my passwords and removed him from my bank accounts and credit cards. It's weird how quickly your life can change when you finally stop making excuses for someone and start putting yourself first. I wish I had done this months ago, instead of convincing myself that I was being paranoid or unreasonable. Thanks again for all the support. It really means a lot to have random strangers on the internet validate that I'm not crazy and I didn't deserve to be treated like this. Final update. You guys are not going to believe what happened today, and I'm still processing it because it's so absurd that I almost want to laugh. Except it's also really pathetic and sad. So I'm at work this morning, minding my own business and trying to focus on my projects when I get a call from a number I don't recognize. And guess who it is? It's Eric's OnlyFans girlfriend, whose real name is apparently Mary. And she's crying and asking if we can talk because she has something important to tell me. I'm thinking, what the hell could this woman possibly have to say to me that I would want to hear? But I'm curious, so I stay on the line, and she starts telling me this whole sob story about how Eric has blocked her on everything and won't answer her calls, and she doesn't know what to do because she thought they had a real future together. She's going on and on about how he told her he was going to leave me and they were going to start a life together, and how she quit her other job because he promised to take care of her financially. Now she's stuck because she put all her eggs in one basket with him. I'm listening to this thinking, are you kidding me right now? This woman is calling me to complain about my cheating husband not wanting to be with her anymore. Like I'm supposed to feel sorry for her or something. She says she knows I'm probably angry with her, but she wants me to know that he pursued her and told her our marriage was basically over. She really thought they were in love, and he was just waiting for the right time to make it official. Then she gets to the real reason for her call, and this is where it gets really unbelievable. She asks me if I can talk to Eric and convince him to unblock her and give their relationship another chance, because she's willing to share him, if that's what it takes. I'm sitting there at my desk with my mouth hanging open because this woman just asked me to help her get my cheating husband back so they can continue their affair. I don't know whether to laugh or hang up on her. She keeps talking and says she knows it sounds crazy, but she really loves him, and she's willing to be the other woman officially, if that means they can still be together. She promises she won't interfere with our marriage anymore if I just help her get him back. I finally find my voice and tell her that she's completely delusional if she thinks I'm going to help her reconnect with my husband so she can continue him. Our marriage is over, and he's all hers if she can figure out how to get him back. She starts crying again and saying she doesn't know how to reach him, and she's been trying for days. She asks if I know where he's staying or if I have his new number, and I tell her that's not my problem anymore. Maybe she should have thought about this before she helped him cheat on me. But then she says something that makes me realize just how stupid this whole situation is. She tells me that they never actually met in person before the Vegas trip. Their entire relationship was online through OnlyFans and texting and video calls. She spent months falling in love with a fantasy version of him that he created online. She actually quit her day job and moved across the country to be closer to him because he told her they were going to be together. Now she's stuck in a new city with no job and no support system. I tell her that Eric is a liar and a manipulator who will say whatever he thinks people want to hear. She learned that the hard way, just like I did. And maybe this will teach her not to get involved with married men in the future. She asks me one more time if there's anything I can do to help her get in touch with him. I tell her absolutely not, and that she should probably focus on finding a new job and rebuilding her life instead of chasing after a man who clearly doesn't want her anymore. I hang up on her and sit there for a few minutes thinking about how pathetic this whole situation is and how this woman uprooted her entire life for a man she had never actually met in person based on lies he told her about our marriage. Eric is probably realizing that his OnlyFans fantasy girlfriend isn't as exciting when she's blowing up his phone, begging him to come back. She's realizing that the man she thought she was in love with doesn't actually exist. I blocked her number after that call because I don't need any more drama in my life, and I'm focusing on moving forward and rebuilding my life without either of them in it. It's crazy how much clearer everything becomes when you remove toxic people from your life and stop making excuses for their behavior. I wish I had done this a long time ago, instead of wasting so much time and energy on someone who clearly didn't deserve it. Anyway, thanks again for all the support and advice. You guys have been amazing through this whole mess, and I couldn't have gotten through it without knowing that I'm not crazy and I didn't deserve to be treated like this. Final update. I know I said the last update was final, but I had to come back and share this because it's just too perfect, and I think you guys will appreciate the karma of it all. So it's been about 7 months since everything went down, and my divorce was finalized last week. I'm officially free of Eric and all his, and I've been focusing on myself and my career. Honestly, I'm happier than I've been in years. I got a promotion at work, partly because I've been able to focus all my energy on my job instead of worrying about what my unemployed husband was doing all day. I'm making more money now than Eric and I were making together when he was actually working. Anyway, yesterday I'm grocery shopping and I run into Eric's sister at the store. We've always gotten along pretty well, so I stopped to say hi and ask how she's doing. She looks really uncomfortable, and I can tell she doesn't know whether to bring up the divorce or pretend it never happened. But then she tells me something that makes my whole day. Apparently, Eric is living in his mom's basement now because he still can't find a job. And he's been dealing with some consequences from that video I posted in the family group chat. Turns out his mom was so embarrassed and angry about what he did that she made him delete all his social media accounts, and she's monitoring his internet usage like he's a teenager. She told the whole family that he's not welcome at any family gatherings until he gets his life together. His sister says he's been really depressed, and he keeps asking family members if they think there's any chance I'll take him back. They all tell him that he burned that bridge when he decided to cheat on me with an OnlyFans girl, but here's the best part. Remember Mary, the OnlyFans girlfriend who called me begging me to help her get him back? Well, apparently she's been showing up at his mom's house, trying to talk to him. And his mom called the police on her for harassment. His sister says it's been really embarrassing for the whole family because Mary keeps commenting on their Facebook posts, asking them to convince Eric to talk to her. She's been sending friend requests to all his relatives, trying to get information about where he is and what he's doing. Eric has been trying to find work, but every time he gets to the interview stage, something goes wrong. His sister thinks it's because employers are Googling him and finding Mary's social media posts about their relationship and the drama surrounding their breakup. She says he's been talking about moving to a different state to start over, but he can't afford to move because he doesn't have any money saved and no one will hire him. So he's stuck living with his mom and dealing with his crazy ex-girlfriend stalking him. I almost feel bad for him. Anyway, I just wanted to share this update because it shows that karma is real, and people who treat others badly usually end up facing consequences eventually, even if it takes a while. I'm doing great, and I'm excited about my future. I hope Eric and Mary figure out their bramp, but that's not my problem anymore. Thanks again to everyone who supported me through this mess. You guys helped me realize that I deserved better and gave me the courage to actually do something about it, instead of just accepting being treated badly.